And we're back. You're listening to the Exitology Unlock Your Profits, Unlock Your Potential show on the number one global business talk and news network on the internet, IBGR, International Business Growth Radio. And I am joined by Gary Goldwasser, the leading or one of the leading business brokers in the Denver, Colorado area. We think he's the leading one here because he leads Transworld Business Advisors of Colorado, who sold 52% of all the businesses in Colorado last year in 2022. That's an impressive statistic, and that's why we are extracting lots of knowledge and wisdom from Gary here today. And Gary, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. We're going to talk now about choosing your team when you're building a company to exit. This season, we've been talking about how do you create lasting value even in a challenging economy. And it's a little bit of a funny thing because every economy is challenging. Even if it's a booming economy, you have different challenges than a recessionary economy or whatever economy we have right now. But when you and I were discussing some things the other day, you really shared with me the importance of choosing your team and having the right people on your team to set up your company for exit, to take it all the way home. So why don't you just kind of tell us a little bit about that? Who needs to be on the team from your perspective?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important, first off, a lot of people don't even know what a business broker is. So choosing, a business broker at that time, and understanding what we do, but we want to be there before the transaction, during the transaction, and after the transaction. And having a team in all of those areas is very important. So, Wally, on your side, when someone is a few years out or a year out, or they need to be talking to someone like you, an exit strategist that understands, what the steps are to get this thing to the finish line. But on top of that, we need to talk about some things like, who's your attorney? People say, well, my neighbor's an attorney, or I got a good friend at the club who's an attorney. Well, are they truly a transaction attorney where they just focus on doing deals and transacting? You don't want to hire a litigation attorney who's going to, copy these and those and cross out stuff and be a deal killer and not a deal maker. So choosing an attorney is really important. And it might not be the attorney that you conduct your daily business life with. It is specific for an exit.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up because there's really, first of all, what you just shared with everyone shows the importance of the work that you do, and that in the marketplace, there's sometimes a misconception when you hear the word broker. They think that somebody's going to show up, package up my business for sale, and it's just a transactional based business. But I think what you're really showing people is it's a much more involved and deeper process, and we're going to dive a lot more into that here in a few minutes. But why is there so much of a process is because to do it right, there needs to be so much communication between an entire team. And so, at minimum, I think, what do we need? We need an attorney, as you said. You need your CPA.
And on the CPA side, it's imperative. It shouldn't be just a tax prep CPA. It should be either a bookkeeper and a CPA that understand your business a little bit deeper than just, hey, I do his tax returns every year, because there's going to be a lot of documentation and quantifying your business during a transaction. And so having a good CPA that understands your business and those things are important.
Yeah. And I always remind business owners who are thinking about going on this journey, it's not just your net profit. It's your net profit over a number of years, proven out by the numbers. And then, oh, by the way, who is that cash flow stream valuable to and why? Because that's where the real magic happens in this business, where your net profit gets assigned a multiple. And that's how you as the business owner actually transfer that value. So, you might only be flowing, say, $1 million a year down to the bottom line, just to use an easy number there. But if you're able to, get that multiple up from something like just a 2 or 3x multiple, which would net you $3 million, but you're able to move that to a strategic buyer or a best in class situation or something like that and prove it with those numbers. Now you're getting a 12 multiple on that. That's $12 million instead of 1 or 2. That's a very big difference in terms of everything, right?
Right. Good point.
I think that's the power of this. Who else needs to be on the team when you're working with a successful transaction?
You need to have a good lender, a good banker. And so we look to, when we start talking with sellers about selling their business, if we're closer to the transaction part, we suggest lenders that really know how to get the deals done. And there's a lot of lenders that'll say, yeah, I can do the deal.
Mm-hmm.
We want a quick no. We don't want a slow no. So we'll take their financials and we'll get them to the lender and get the business pre-qualified. So when we do have a strong buyer or qualified buyer, we know that the business is already, we'll call it 2/3 of the way down the road with the pre-qualification for the business to be sold.
So I think that's a really important aspect that a lot of folks don't think about. In an earlier episode here on this show, we talked about looking at businesses from the acquisition lens, and I think what I'm hearing from you is you really look, one of your value adds is that you come in and look at that business from the perspective of the potential buyers first, and not only that, it sounds like you're removing a lot of friction by having the pre-qualification, and really you're filling up a lot of the financial burden as far as the what am I trying to say here? The financial capital stack that is going to need to exist to acquire this business. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think what sometimes differentiates myself is I'm looking at the 15 questions I know a buyer, a lender, the people that are going to be interested in this business are going to look at. And so I'm thinking about those questions and setting the expectation to the seller of these particular scenarios. A simple example might be working capital. You don't go buy a car and there's no gas in the tank when you drive off the lot. There's got to be some fuel in there, and that same principle applies for working capital. When you buy a business, a buyer is going to want some type of working capital, cash, inventory, receivables left in the business so it can start generating revenue right away.
Right.
And so that's something that I let sellers know ahead of time. Hey, this is going to come up, and just be prepared for it. And so the expectation is set there. That's an example.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I love the analogy of the car with no gas left in the tank, because I think a lot of folks, we've all seen this where 3 months out till the acquisition, we're just we're going to raid the cupboards and raid everything. And if you're doing it right, you're not going to do it that way, because you really want to pass on all of that value, which is how you maximize your own exit. You mentioned that you've got kind of 15 go-to questions that you have on your mind at any given time from a buyer's perspective, and you sort of hinted at one a minute ago. Tell us one of those questions if you're comfortable sharing that. What do you keep in the forefront of your mind there?
The seller financing, it's a question just about every buyer or bank is going to ask the seller to participate in seller financing. Seller financing is, hey, we believe so much in our business that we're willing to basically a portion of the sale price will be paid directly to the seller through a promissory note.
Yep.
That tells the buyer, hey, I know this business is doing well. I believe in it. It tells the lender, we want you that you're going to be engaged and help with the transferness of of the sale of the business.
Right.
So,
Oh, and so seller financing on the acquisition side is the same as an owner carry on the person who is exiting the business side. Right?
yes, yep.
And I love how you put that there. Because and it really speaks, I'm trying to paint a big picture here. It speaks to the importance of, if you had more time and you had totally fired yourself from the business and you were just a chairperson of the business, you wouldn't have these problems. However, the reason why this entire conversation exists is because most people don't do that. And
Right.
so I love the expectation that you're setting here, which is a very important expectation of, hey, look, you might be tired, you might be worn out, you might be sick of this business and all of the headaches with it. However, Mr. Business, Mrs. Business Owner, there is still one more thing you're going to have to do, and that is essentially to shepherd this business towards a true handoff to the new acquirer and things of that nature.
Yep.
And
Another example would be transition and training after the sale. You don't just drop the keys
idea.
off.
Right.
You don't just drop the keys off on the day you sell the business and say, okay, see you later. There's going to be some time, depending on the technical aspects of the business. It might be longer. If it's more of a simple business, it might be shorter.
What do you see kind of, what's the shortest time frame? What's the longest time frame? Walk us through a little bit about what that looks like if you're on the exiting side.
Yeah, sure. On the seller on a simple business should expect to stay in the business for at least 30 days, training and transition. Okay. If it becomes highly technical, if it's a licensed business, anything like that, they might see up to 12 months.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But there might be some employment agreement in there for a period after that transition period.
Okay.
Generally the time, that month or 2 or 3 at the most after would be just at no cost to the buyer. But if it was longer, it would be an employment agreement.
Okay. Well, Gary, we're going to wrap up this section of our discussion here about choosing your team as you're selling your business. While we have a couple more seconds here, can you tell folks how to get a hold of you, maybe your phone number and those types of things?
Yeah, sure. I can be reached at 303-748-7420 or at ggoldwasser@tworld.com.
Beautiful. We'll be right back with you here on the Exitology Unlock Your Profits, Unlock Your Potential show.